morning. We are now live on Facebook. I love this live streaming stuff that we have available today. So thankfully we have it available. So Dr. Schein, Dr. David Schein, welcome. And this is I don't know how many weeks we've been doing these podcasts, but it's been a few months now. And I love it that we're getting more and more visibility, more people tuned into it, and getting on more of these podcast distribution sites. So congratulations. I think we can say that so far it has been a success. What do you think?
Thank you, Sandy. Definitely. I'm very encouraged by the number of people that have watched the videos or have subscribed to the series. And we're going to keep on doing it as long as people want to watch it. And we're trying, of course, to always improve the quality and the content that we're developing. And we're doing the best we can. But yes, very encouraged so far.
And we have plenty of news to talk about, right?
Absolutely. Won't run out.
Your final answer. And so today we're going to start right in with what's in the news. And of course, what else could we talk about being in the news other than Trump has COVID?
Thank you, Sandy. Yeah, that's been the big story. It actually started right about a week ago. And what we're dealing with there is that Trump tested positive on Thursday of last week. And the next day went to Walter Reed Medical Center. They did give him oxygen. They gave him a new antibody drug called Remdesivir or something like that. And that has to be intravenously administered. I didn't know that until they began talking about it. And so it's a very interesting situation. We all know that Trump, even though he's 74 years old, is a very vigorous individual. As some people say, good genes or good genetics, because a lot of people at his age would not be able to maintain the schedule that he maintains. And so I salute him for that. He does appear to be dealing with the COVID-19 very well, in that he has already been allowed to return to the White House. And that's been kind of the interesting backstory, is that the guy can't win for losing. So you got one group out there who's now accusing Trump of making it up that he never really had COVID-19, which is ridiculous. And then another group are saying he got it because he was very careless and went to these big rallies and all that. But, my thought on that is what people are still calling the mainstream media, though, as you know, the newspaper industry in the United States has collapsed. Very few newspapers are actually making money today. They're even running advertising on the front page of newspapers because they're so desperate for the little bit of advertising revenue they have coming in. They've dramatically cut staff. A lot of what you see in the newspaper today is advertising or pulp that's been brought in from different online services. So given that he has virtually zero media support, this only really allows him to buy advertising or to go out and talk to people in public, which, of course, Joe Biden's hiding in a bunker somewhere in Delaware or North Carolina, someplace. But and nobody really cares either. And so to criticize him for getting out and doing something that he needs to do in order to energize his base, because the media onslaught has continued for about 5 years now, since it started just about the time he was just a candidate. Even before he wasn't the candidate, they began the attack on Trump. So it's kind of interesting that he's survived this far. But in any event, I'm glad to hear he's gone home. I understand he's at the White House. I am concerned because I do see a large number of people on the staff are now struggling with COVID. And I learned a little bit more about who's on the staff by who got COVID. Means that these are people who have had fairly direct contact. And obviously someone gave it to the president, which indicates that people are not being as careful in the White House as they should be when you have the president of the United States. Something better should have been done. However, in fairness, many country leaders have had COVID, perhaps the most explicit with Boris Johnson, who is in the same age bracket, but not nearly as healthy as Trump. He had more trouble with it, but he did make a full recovery, got back to work very quickly. And of course, we have a very good bond between the United States and the United Kingdom, and then President of Brazil and so forth. So there have been some world leaders who have been affected. Fortunately, all of them seem to have recovered very quickly. But I do not fault Trump for getting it, and I do not fault Trump for going back to the White House once his situation is stable to free up that hospital bed for someone who needs it more than he does. But certainly there is a concern about the surge in COVID-19 in the United States right now. And the best thing we can do is all be careful, all wear our masks in public, and to maintain our social distancing. And as standard, and I'm involved, as you know, with the academic community, is we were looking at some upcoming in-person meetings, and we have decided to have those meetings via Zoom because some of the parties were going to be on Zoom, and it was like, well, why should the rest of us all get together in a conference room when we could all be on Zoom and all be safe in our particular surroundings? So just a little observation on how we're adjusting to try and maintain as safe as possible in existence. So it'll be quite interesting. The other issue is the stock market tanked when it was reported last week that Trump was sick, and he has done so well that the stock market has shot up to new records since it was clear that he was going to recover. So I think that's a subtle message for people that if you're concerned about your 401k portfolio, if you're concerned about your retirement, if you're concerned about the stock market for other reasons, that it does appear that the stock market likes Trump, and that may guide a few people in terms of their voting in November.
Definitely follows him for sure. And each time it goes down, it seems to bounce back higher than it was before it started. So I think that's all good. So thank you for that. That was great insight into, and you're right. It's like some days it feels like you can't win for losing if you're in that position. So in his position, he does get lots of visibility. So so that's Trump with COVID. That's the latest. He is healing. He is home. So thank you for that report, Dr. Schein.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
And then our second segment, the rumors. What are the rumors going around? So with every bit of news spreads more rumors. And so we just focus on one each week, although there's lots of rumors out there. But what about the latest things we're hearing on Obamacare? Seems to be a rumor. Then the big thing that college students won't have medical insurance if Obamacare is repealed.
Right, Sandy. Well, this is, of course, Obamacare was one of the biggest frauds ever perpetrated on the American people. And famously, Obama said, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. That turned out to be an absolutely false statement. Also, just the name of the law, the Affordable Care Act, it dramatically increased the cost of group insurance. Group insurance was required to be a Cadillac plan, overloaded with things, discouraged the copay system, which is pretty common in America, that people should pay a little bit when they go to the doctor. And so it turned into a disaster for America. And now the Democrats, who have virtually nothing to talk about, have tried to resurrect Obamacare to say, oh my God, the Republicans are going to kill Obamacare. And we've already talked in one of our prior segments about the fraud that is Obamacare. But this college student stuff is really just sick. It's just ridiculous. First of all, the majority of college students are either on their parents' insurance, which previously went to age 25. The law changed it to 26. I don't think the insurance companies are going to roll that back. They probably could have done it already as the assault on Obamacare took place, but I don't think that's very relevant. And the other thing is that most universities provide health care for their students at a very affordable rate because students tend to be one of the lowest risk populations out there. So in fact, it was such a good deal that I think many of our viewers know that later in life, I went back to the University of Virginia full-time to get my PhD, and I enrolled in the student health plan because it was a better deal than anything I could buy on the open market. So that's number one. So the majority of college students are going to get their very best deal simply enrolling in the healthcare that is offered to the university students. Now, not every plan is a great deal. In my son's case, as I mentioned in a previous segment of Saving America, while he was in college, was on a Blue Cross Blue Shield plan. I was paying for the plan for him, and it was about $100 a month, roughly. And I was happy to do that for him, and it was a reasonable amount of money. It was a low risk he's a low risk individual, low risk policy. What happened is Obamacare was passed while my son was in college, and they canceled his insurance. In fact, the letter said that from Blue Cross Blue Shield. It said, hey, tough luck when your policy renewal comes up in October. It's been canceled because of Obamacare. So then his replacement policy from Blue Cross Blue Shield was $220 a month. Do we get this right? It went up $120 because of Obamacare. Tell me how that's helping college students in America, because it's not. It's a lie. It's a fraud. So in any event, what happens is that then they said, but what's your income? Well, he was independent of me. He wasn't taking he wasn't a dependent of mine anymore. So he could apply for the Obamacare subsidy. So the Obamacare subsidy ended up that he paid $86 a month. So that means that the American taxpayers, because he was a low income individual, he was working as a security guard while he was attending college, a little later in life student, that the federal government was subsidizing him for $130 a month instead of him simply paying for it. It's just a sick, ridiculous situation. And again, it is the sign of the desperation of the party that's not in power to try and find some shred to hang on to, because famously the Obama economic recovery, the Obama-Biden recovery, was the worst on record. And that's not open to any debate at all. The American economy historically has bounced back from the Great Depression, has bounced back from the periodic recessions that we've experienced, and it did not bounce back until Trump came in. And the tax issue is real interesting, but in any event, they don't have much to talk about, so they keep talking about silly stuff.
And that, yes, they always will find some twist on something to create these rumors. So thank you.
Just the facts, ma'am.
Just the facts. This is our third segment. Each week we have three segments. We have In the News, and we talk about something, the latest something going on, and then the rumors, and then close with Just the Facts. So let's talk about easy voting, the harm from easy voting, as far as what are the facts on that?
Well, I have been increasingly concerned about this as an American citizen. I am blessed to have been born an American citizen and have appreciated the benefits that I've received being born in the greatest country on earth, one of the greatest countries in history. And it is a precious right to participate in the citizenship process. And part of that precious privilege is the right to vote. And I'm increasingly concerned when wacko operations like the state of California are giving out enrollment to people who are not citizens and saying, oh, this is okay. How is this okay in anybody's lexicon that people who are not fully legally here participating in the entire economy, contributing to Social Security and Medicare, taking care of their taxes and things like that? How is it that these people would be put on par with me, who has paid taxes since he was a teenager and who has participated in the American system for that long, to be deprived of part of my benefit because by diluting my vote with people who have not earned the right. And the system is so broken today that it is offensive to me as an American voter and an American taxpayer, is to think about the fact they're talking in individual states, hundreds of thousands of dead people are on our voter rolls. When you send out these mass mailings, has been done in a good handful of states, these are going somewhere. Any person picking up some of these loose ballots can just fill one in and send it in. And we've got ballot harvesting problems, which have been in existence for several consecutive elections. I'd like to bring out one specific point. I do have some controversy about this. There are people who don't agree with me, but it is estimated that Trump did not win the popular vote in 2016, that Hillary Clinton did. However, my estimate, and the estimate that I've seen from some reasonable sources, is between 2 and 5 million votes were illegally cast in the 2016 election. If those, and most of those votes, the Democrats will tell you were cast for them. So this is a rigged system. It is the perception of the Democrats, the party of illegal immigrants, that they will vote if they can somehow get a ballot, that they will vote for the Democrat Party. And this is the premise on which they operate. I guarantee you, if they started interviewing these illegal immigrants and they said, oh, hey, we love President Trump. We like the fact that, the country runs well and the economy runs well and we have job opportunities, those Democrats would be so fast to the polls to say, oh, we better secure those votes. My God, we better make sure everybody who's voting is legal. So it's a completely false premise. And our postal system, sadly, has been damaged by 40 or 50 years of over-unionization. You can hardly fire someone in the Postal Service. Postal Service used to be important to America. It is only marginally important today. And for us to say that we're going to put the election's hands in a terribly broken system is just a disgrace. And part of that is they're now trying to blame it on the current postmasters appointed by Trump. And he inherited a system that's been broken for 40 or 50 years. Most Americans today are dumping all of their mail into the recycling bin, which in apartment complexes or other areas where there's consolidated mail, there's a recycling bin there. And I'm watching people every day take out, and the same thing for our office here on Heights Boulevard, is we just take the mail. The majority of the mail today, 80 or 90% of the mail, is going into the recycling bin. And this is a disgrace that we have kept bulk rates low, which basically amount to harassment of the public. Instead of reducing mail delivery to, say, 4 days a week, maybe 5 days a week in a business district like Manhattan or downtown Houston for business customers. But for the rest of us, we don't need 6 day a week home delivery. It is a time that's passed. And I don't know about you, Sandy, but I have virtually 100% of my bills and things going on being done electronically.
Yep,
Absolutely. I have a lot of stuff set up on auto pay. I have stuff set up where I'm electronically notified. I sign in and take care of it. And so the whole premise that the Postal Service is somehow going to suddenly become more efficient and only deliver ballots by mail that were cast by legitimate voters is just as false as the claim that Obamacare is a great program.
And as you were talking about the mail delivery less than 6 days a week, we have one of those mailboxes where you have to open it with a key. So it's right at the corner. And we hardly check our mail more than once or twice a week. Because like you said, everything we get is junk. What we do, put in the recycle bin. So that was a great point. I love that. I would vote for that. And we're doing this weekly. So every Tuesday live on Facebook. But the rest of the time you can watch the videos on YouTube, or you can subscribe to our podcast. Saving America with David Schein. Dr. Schein is, besides being an expert in these topics, he is the author of The Decline of America, published in 2018 by Post Hill Publishing. And in this book, Dr. Schein looks at presidents from Woodrow Wilson to Barack Obama and analyzes, assesses their time in office and how they dealt with certain things like the economy, like pandemics. How do presidents handle when they have a crisis of some kind? And most of them do. Most of them have some kind of crisis. So get this book, read it. Great research for before the election or after the election. Still a great time to do some research and see what's happened in this country for the last 100 years. And he is working on another book. We'll tell you about that as it gets closer. This book is available on Amazon, The Decline of America. Get the ebook or the print book mailed to you. So if you want a autographed copy of this book, then get in touch with Dr. Schein. He's here in Houston, Texas. He is the founder of the Claremont Management Group. So you can go to that website, ClaremontManagementGroup.com, and reach out to Dr. Schein and be in touch with him about the book or in response to any of the questions that he has addressed today on today's podcast.
And Sandy, I wanted to mention quickly two things. We did record a special regarding the first debate, and that is about ready for prime time. Our staff has been cleaning that up, and so that'll be posted. Tomorrow night, Wednesday, will be the vice presidential debate between Mike Pence and Kamala Harris. I don't expect it to look anything at all like last week's mess between Biden and Trump. And so that'll be kind of interesting. We haven't decided yet if we're going to do a special edition on that or we'll just talk about it at next week's Saving America. So let's see what happens tomorrow night and then we'll make a decision.
Sounds good. We'll be watching. So thank you, David. Thank you for taking the time to do this each week and keep us updated on what's going on in this whole world called politics. So thank you.
Thank you again, Sandy.